you have usually two managers, a host and a co-host, and they'll help you once again, like what's that key problem that you're solving this summer. And
Hi, my name is Henry, and today I'll be talking with Brie, a senior at Rosemont College and an incoming APMM at Google. The thing I appreciate about Brie is that he's always willing to go the extra mile to learn and improve. We'll talk about how he got an APMM internship, what his APMM internship was like, and how you can break into product marketing from college. Without further ado, let's get started.
Right now, I'm a senior marketing and finance major at Rosemont College. And then this past summer, I was at Google in the APMM program doing product marketing. Prior to that, I've been at Uber doing performance marketing and then other internships at Intel related to like developer marketing and that kind of thing. And I'm excited to go to Google full time and continue in the APMM program.
Take us further back. Why did you choose marketing as your major?
So for me, I took a gap year. That was after high school. And so when I did that, I was trying to figure out like what I wanted to do post high school and then into the future. And so there I did a bunch of random odd jobs, right? And eventually I found this site, called Fiverr. That's where I did a lot of my freelance jobs. And eventually I found that you could do something in social media. And I was like, okay, this is a pretty low barrier to entry. And in those first couple roles, I'm going to be honest, my work wasn't the best, but it taught me like what to look out for in terms of content. And that kind of spurred the whole interest in it. And then after I did that during the gap year, I eventually decided to go apply to school. I was still thinking like, okay, this is interesting marketing. I can be a little creative. And then I can also tap into the analytical side of, when it comes to crunching numbers, looking at what kinds of posts work, what kinds of content doesn't work, that kind of thing. So I did an internship right before I applied to school, and that solidified this interest in marketing since it was also involved with content creation. I thought it was a really fun role, how you could be both creative and analytical and create, once again, that narrative of what's important about the brand and then helping connect the users to that. And so I think that's one interesting thing that separates marketing out, at least from other careers that I've explored, that are either maybe they're too focused down into the numbers and the weeds, or maybe they're too at the end of the whole like content supply chain in terms of like if you're a graphic designer, you're not there to come up with the positioning of how people really think about the product.
How did you hear about product marketing and what led you to decide to pursue it?
I think I first heard about that. It was sometime at the end of my freshman year or freshman summer. At this point, I was already interested in marketing. I had already done, I think, like my first internship in marketing at a local company in Philadelphia. And so I was looking into the tech internships and how I could break into that. And I found someone on LinkedIn. Yeah, they were part of the APMM program. And at the time, I didn't even know what that was, right? I messaged them and luckily they responded and we set up the coffee chat. They're telling me about their experience and also just the different areas within marketing, because at this point, I didn't know like brand versus growth versus product. What does that even mean? So yeah, that's where he told me like, hey, there's this program, the APMM program. It's called product marketing. What is product marketing? Then you go into that whole other conversation. But yeah, I first heard about it through that coffee chat. And from there, I thought it was interesting because compared to other roles, product marketing, you are closer to the product. You're not acting as like an agency. Like you're there coming from the very start of what's the problem, what do users care about, doing that research, positioning, coming up with the messaging. It doesn't always happen that perfect in that order, but it's a role that seems to be closer to the product versus other marketing roles.
How did you make that transition into doing a product marketing internship?
So my first like big corporate break into marketing and tech was at Intel during COVID, my freshman year. So that was summer 2020. And then I did that all the way up into May. So I did it for 10 months. And that was only possible because of COVID, school, I didn't have to go in person for class. So, I could hop into a Zoom call for class, jump out of that, continue with work at Intel. It was a little crazy. I think I would recommend it if you're really ambitious to do this, because it's you get a lot of experience, but it is stressful. And then that summer I applied to Uber. I wanted to change things up. There was a role in the performance marketing team where I could be involved with the ads that are like $10 off your first order and coming up with the copy related to those type of ads. And I thought that was really exciting because at the time I was really interested in paid media. So I did the interview rounds for that. I think it was like 2-round interviews. Luckily, I got it, and then did that for the summer. And then leading up into how I eventually got Google, right? There was this program called the Bold Immersion program at Google, and you could say it's like a funnel into the internship, the Bold internship, which is what has the APMM internship within it. So they had you write an essay for the Bold Immersion program, and that's something you do during your sophomore year. I did that during the fall of my sophomore year, and I found out that I got into that program around the same time that I got that Uber offer, which was sometime in like February 2021, I believe. So the Uber internship that happened at the same time. I had the Bold Immersion program in the summer, so those kind of overlapped, which is a little tricky in terms of scheduling and meetings and attending everything. But you have to learn how to navigate that. And eventually during my fall of my junior year, that's where the Bold internship opened up, and that's what has the APMM application. And I applied to that with a referral from someone that I met doing all these coffee chats. So that's what the importance of doing coffee chats. You're able to get a referral, right? Hopefully. And from there, just grinded on just like the interview prep, like studying my behaviorals, doing the case prep. Like that's it. The case prep and doing the hypotheticals is literally, I think, half the battle, because that's where I believe most people mess up, because they're either not specific enough with their answers, or they're not considerate enough of all the possible factors that could help make their answer stronger when it comes to coming up with like, oh, how would you make a better campaign for XYZ product, or those type of questions. So just doing a ton of prep. And I did the interviews around end of October 2021, I believe. Got the offer like a week later. That was like a huge weight off my chest. And then eventually did the internship this past summer.
What was your APMM experience like?
I was on the Media Lab team, and within that, I was working on the creative best practices and doing research surrounding that in regards to our paid media efforts. It's what you think about advertising, and that's both digital and offline and online ads. As far as the experience, from a professional standpoint, it was truly amazing. I mean, you have access to all these mentors, which is really great when you don't know a big company like Google. Like, their products on the outside, but you don't know how it all works internally. So having those mentors can help you guide yourself through that. And then even just all the other resources, because you're able to research all aspects of whatever prompt you're given for your summer project. That was truly amazing. And I know other students also had the opportunity to either conduct surveys or all kinds of things to get real data to back up whatever hypothesis that they were trying to solve for their projects. So that was really exciting. And then, of course, the benefits. A lot of people know about the Google benefits, but I got to say they are truly great. The free food, you can't not mention the free food, but no, it's that's another fun component. Honestly, the most underrated thing that I forgot to mention, like having the cohort of APMMs, like that's your family, right? You're going to be in a new city. These are the people that you'll hang out with. You'll help with your project, and they'll help with yours. You'll talk with them all the time. So that's definitely one of the things that you're going to cherish and you're going to keep with you after the internship program is over. And I forgot to mention like the leadership talks. Like that's no joke. Like they will bring in a VP from a certain team, and you can listen to their experience and hear what they did and speak to them in person. So that's another amazing aspect of the program.
Take us through in depth what your APMM internship timeline looks like. How long is it? What were you doing?
Yeah, so as far as the internship itself, there was a little bit of an onboarding process. Like the first week or so, you can say the first 1 to 2 weeks are basically like you getting set up with the technology, and then you learning your team, right? Because you may know some of their products, but you might be in a niche team that isn't really externally facing. So you have to understand like who are the people there, what are the processes, and that's what you'll figure out in those first 2 weeks. And then outside of that, Google hosts numerous events to connect the interns together. So that's a Google-led effort that will go on throughout the internship to get to have everyone stay connected. And then, of course, there's the leadership series, which is basically the executive, like VP level talks that you could attend, that you have the choice to attend. They'll connect you with someone who is currently in the program, or maybe they've recently graduated from the APMM program, and that individual will help you just navigate your internship and your project itself. And of course, like your manager, you have usually two managers, a host and a co-host, and they'll help you once again, like what's that key problem that you're solving this summer, and how do you solve that, right? Like how do you go about it? And ultimately you'll figure it out, but they can help steer you in the right direction. There were some other trips throughout the summer itself where they basically grouped all the APMMs and flew out some people from even like from another country like Canada, right? Which was crazy to meet them. All that together made it a really fun experience. And at the very end of the internship, there are a couple points where they'll do like a check-in to see like, are you on track with your project? And this is a more formal check-in that will usually happen like midway throughout the internship. Your final check-in is really where you have to, teams do it differently. It could be a presentation, whatever that your team decides. And that's where you present your findings. And that's a fun moment where you can share like what you've done the entire summer with your team, and sometimes even leadership within your organization.
Sounds like a packed, 3 months of summer?
3 months. Yeah. For me, it was from like end of May all the way to like end of August timeframe. So yeah, about 12 weeks.
What were your key takeaways from the APMM internship experience?
Yeah, I think my takeaways are a little bit different from others since this wasn't my like first internship rodeo, but I think like Google specific, there's a lot of information that you can leverage when you're solving certain ambiguous prompts that they give you to solve. And so it really comes down to you talking to as many people as possible within your team. Like you never want to be siloed if you're going to solve these problems. And that's one of the key things if you are going to collaborate in a marketing organization, right? You want to talk to all the subject matter experts to basically get all the opinions and all the resources that they have to share, because they may know someone or know something that can better help you solve that problem. So being able to leverage all those resources. See, one other key learning, it's really an opportunity for you to figure out what you want to do. And even within marketing, like we say, like APMMs, it is product marketing, but there are also sub areas that you can basically have a concentration in. So you don't have to get stuck in that one role. And Google really does promote a culture of doing coffee chats and networking with other people. So if you want to change that trajectory, you can specialize. You can find that area, that team, and try to build those connections. So then, when the time comes, you know who to reach out to, and they're going to be more receptive of maybe taking you on board their team or setting up a side project that you can support. Yeah, I think those are some of the key takeaways, like leveraging those resources and then really building your own path through networking to establish those connections.
What advice do you have for college students who are looking to break into product marketing?
Like if I had to redo it from scratch and I was interested in product marketing, but maybe I didn't have those skills yet, I would say like there are two great like LinkedIn courses that helped me out. I think all you have to do is literally just search up the top rated product marketing courses on LinkedIn. And I think they're the top two. And go through those courses. That will teach you literally everything you need to know. And like you won't be an expert, but it will give you the understanding of how each aspect relates to how each aspect of the marketing mix relates to the next, and how organizations go from researching to ultimately go to market. So having that base will help you when you do interviews. Then the next thing I would do, if you haven't already had any internship experience, try to get internship experience, relevant marketing internship experience. The more well-known the brand, that will help you out on your resume. But even doing marketing for your student organization that you're a part of, if you're part of a club on campus, like that's better than nothing, right? Or even doing free marketing certifications online. There's this course called the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing that Google offers. That's a free one you can do. Add that to your resume. Like that's better than not having any certification. And then of course, like it comes down to referrals are huge in tech. So doing these coffee chats and networking, that is a real leg up when there's so many resumes that recruiters have to see. The referral can help bump you up. So doing a coffee chat, seeing if you can get someone to get you a referral can help you even get an interview. And then as far as passing the interview, it's using that knowledge that you gained from the course, as well as just grinding out the hypotheticals, having your behavioral interview questions ready, your STAR format, keeping them under 2 minutes so the interviewer doesn't get bored. And then when you're doing your hypotheticals, being really considerate and structured in how you go about defining the problem, and then diving into what are the variables that I can alter to help drive that goal, whatever the topic is of the question.
What advice do you have for someone who wants to do a coffee chat and don't know how to do it in a way that they can ask for a referral?
I think the short answer, one, it's a numbers game. So, if you're applying, especially for people, you're targeting, let's say, a big tech company, you have to remember that these people are probably getting like multiple emails a day, right? Multiple connections a day. So to stand out with them, you're going to have to send a message to a lot of people because a lot of them are going to say no. But then as far as what you say and what you put into your message, I think that's where you have to write out a really brief message. This is what I did. I wrote out like a couple sentences about like, hey, I'm a student interested in your role. And I think like just being really genuine about it, don't sugarcoat it. I think if you try to make it fluffy about praising them too much, or I think people are going to see through that and just say like, what do you really want, right? You're a student, you're interested in their role. Do you want to learn from their experience? Like, what did they do? I think doing that on top of it being a numbers game, people are going to say yes to that because in the end, people do like talking about themselves. And that's something we hear again and again and again. And it's really true. So once you get that person who does say yes, maybe it might take 15 messages. It probably will take 15, maybe 20. And these keep testing, try out different messages. When someone says yes, set up that call immediately from like a week from then, because they probably have a busy schedule since they're full time. And then during that call, have that list of questions prepared, because if you're trying to get a referral, there's some cases where I've done a coffee chat and you can tell the person didn't really do their homework beforehand. And by not doing their homework, I mean that they didn't really have a game plan as for how they wanted that meeting to go. And sometimes that can be good, but sometimes it may signal to them like, oh, maybe this person isn't as prepared. And do I want to give that person a referral? So that's just something, I think that's the underlying psychology that could happen. So always have a list of questions prepared. So then you can just go through that and try to do your research. Just have a better understanding of marketing so you can ask them their opinion about what's going on in the market and the industry. And I think that also adds credibility to yourself. That makes them ultimately more likely to give you a referral when the time comes. But you have to remember, I think that not everyone's going to give you a referral, no matter how good that call went. So you have to play it by ear to see like how well you clicked with them, whether you want to ask that later on. But I think like even afterwards, if the application doesn't open for 3 months and you don't speak to them for 3 months and then you ask them for a referral after, let's say your call was a while ago, that's not going to look good. You're going to want to keep that relationship. Maybe message them once every 2 months, right? Just to have some fire there. So then it doesn't seem like you're asking them out of the blue for the referral. And I think all that together will increase your chances.
Thank you, Brie, so much for sharing about your experiences and your internship and how people can break into product marketing from college.
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and comment below on what kind of videos you want to see next. Till next time, see you.